to introduce our guest speaker. Her name is Julie Turner. She is a survivor and a caregiver from Springfield, Ohio. She was diagnosed at a young age with stage 3 Hodgkin's disease. She received her cutting-edge treatment at the Ohio State University Medical Center. Her mom was also diagnosed with terminal cancer in 2007. She dedicates her volunteer work to her mother. Julie is here today to share her story with you. Please welcome Julie Turner.
Thanks, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today. I came down last fall and spoke to the committee at one of their meetings, and they said, will you come back and talk to our survivors? And I said, absolutely, I'd be honored. I, like all of you, hate cancer. I, like all of you, or most of you, am a cancer survivor or a caregiver. My connection to cancer began a very long time ago. It was the fall of my senior year in high school when my friends were thinking about Friday night football games and college entrance applications and maybe even their homecoming date. And my emphasis was totally upon biopsy results, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation after my diagnosis with stage 3 Hodgkin's disease. I remember as if it were yesterday, swinging like a pendulum from this invincible 17-year-old that could handle anything that was thrown at her to a scared little girl that wanted to crawl into my mother's arms for safety. That sweet, yet fierce at times, mother of mine would come into my hospital room each day while I was at Ohio State, and she would say, be brave, Julie, fight hard, do it for me. And I wanted to be normal so much that I tackled staging and treatment with all of the bravery that I could muster. Unlike most people that are my age, I will be 57 this summer, it gives me great joy to tell you that I'm a 39-year survivor. And I know it sounds odd to call myself lucky, but I truly am one of the lucky ones. I was treated at the Ohio State University Medical Center before standalone cancer centers, before the Janes. I was treated from the 10th floor. All the cancer patients were on the 10th floor. And I also received unending love and care from my family. And I had the American Cancer Society on my side to wage war on cancer. I can remember in 1974 that cancer was more often than not a death sentence. And you sort of whispered the word cancer because it invoked such pity. I remember from my hospital room wanting to escape, wanting to get away from cancer and all of the stigma that surrounded it. I would fib to my nurses and tell them that I was going to the cafeteria or maybe I was going to the gift shop, and I would, with IV pole in tow, I would go down the floor, down the escalator, and go outside OSU. And at that time, the shoe, the horseshoe, was open at one end. I know some of you folks remember that. And I would sit on this bench and I would see the hustle and bustle of the students and athletes practicing, and all I wanted to do was be normal again, to put cancer behind me. Difficult days, you people in the purple shirts know, not difficult days, incredibly awful days, came often through 12 courses of mock chemotherapy. It was terrible nausea, terrible aching. Nothing seemed right to me. And one of my favorite mom stories, my dear caregiver, my mother, would be waiting for me outside the cancer center there at OSU, and she would whisk me home just as fast as we could get there. I could never, ever get home before those terrible symptoms began. This one particular day, I raised my hand about London Summerford exit on I-70, and Mom knew that meant she's gonna be sick, pull over. She did, pulled over, and came around the car. She's holding my hand, rubbing my forehead, wiping away the sweat, like wonderful caregivers do, and this state highway patrolman pulled up behind us. He asked for her driver's license and registration, and after looking at it, he said, Mrs. Alexander, you can't park along the interstate. You're going to have to be on your way. Well, my caregiver, my sweet mother, my fierce mother, took that highway patrolman behind the car and had one of those little mother chats. You moms out there know what those mother chats. You know what those mother chats are like. And before I knew it, we were going home, what seemed to be 100 miles an hour behind the state highway patrolman with lights and sirens. That's what a caregiver does for you. After the chemotherapy, I started into 60 radiation treatments, and dark days of radiation meant that my hair fell out. I had terrible burning under my arms and in my throat, leaving it difficult to eat or swallow. But most impactful was the knowledge that my ability to bear children naturally was now gone. I think that chemotherapy and radiation recollections are forever logged in my memory bank, and I think they help me to fuel that fire, to keep fighting with the American Cancer Society, fight for research dollars like we are today with the Relay for Life. And my other endeavor with the American Cancer Society is fighting with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network for legislation to ensure that every cancer patient has quality medical care. I'm going to fast forward a little bit in my life to 2007. It was the spring of 2007, and my mom came to me one day and she said, "Julie, something's not right. You need to take me to the doctor." The next day we were in the doctor's office, and that afternoon they called us to say that, yes, Mom was full of cancer. It was terminal, and there was very little that they could do for her. So we went to what is now the Cancer Center in Springfield, and right there, just a few minutes away. And they told us that there was not a great deal that they could do for her. She could go home and be comfortable, or she could fight. And you know what that sweet caregiver of mine said? She said to her doctors, very bravely, "I asked my daughter to fight hard and be brave for me, and now it's my turn to be brave for her." My mom fought a courageous battle for 6 weeks until cancer unmercifully took her from me. My mom's always with me. She resides in my heart. I grab my shoulder because when I was young, whenever she was upset with me, she'd grab that shoulder. And I knew she meant business. So I grab it every once in a while because I think she's right there. You know how moms are just right there? I think she's right there with me. And I think I can feel her from time to time being right there. And I hear her saying, "Fight, Julie, fight. You know, you gotta keep fighting." And so I fight with the American Cancer Society. When I was asked to join the Relay for Life group in Springfield about 18 years ago, I felt sort of an obligation to give back for what the American Cancer Society had done for my family. At that time, we had great medical care. My dad was a Springfield fireman, and he had taken out this little cancer policy, so we had his insurance and a cancer policy. We didn't know much about research at that time, so the one thing that the Cancer Society did is helped Mom and Dad pay for gas because they came to see me every day, back and forth from Springfield to Columbus every day. And that was 39 years ago. Well, don't you know that one of my missions in Clark County is to start a Road to Recovery program so that I can match cancer volunteers to cancer patients who need a ride back and forth to work. Some of us have families that are able to get us back and forth to our doctor's appointments and to our treatments, and some of us are not. Some of us our loved ones have used up all of their time off from work, and they just need someone to get them there. So we're starting a program in Clark County that will match willing volunteers who will do that. What greater thing can a person do? Every one of you can do that. Find a volunteer that will take you to and from your treatments. What a great thing. I also know that we couldn't have made all the strides that we made in the last 39 years without research. And what we do with this money that you folks are going to be raising is pump $150 million plus in the United States into research. I would not be here today without research made possible by the American Cancer Society. Another thing that you can do is get trained and be a part of a program called Look Good, Feel Better. And it is for helping folks with wigs as they're going through treatments, and sometimes you folks in purple shirts know that your skin changes a little bit, you lose your hair, you have aches and pains, and these folks can help you. You know, when you've exhausted the nurses and the docs, you need somebody else that understands. There are volunteers through the American Cancer Society that can help you do that. Another program through ACS is called Man to Man, and it is only for gentlemen who have had prostate cancer. They have a unique set of situations, and they need to talk to fellow cancer survivors that have gone through prostate cancer. You need to talk to men that understand what they're going through. It's called Man to Man. There's a Hope Lodge in Cincinnati, and it is similar to the Ronald McDonald House. And there are cancer patients that are being treated at UC and UC Children's that need to have a caregiver with them. Well, this Hope Lodge allows cancer patients to live right there by the hospital while they're being treated, and their caregiver shares a room with them. They have other patients that are there with them, and they cook dinners. They have little kumbaya moments. They lift each other's spirits when they're having a tough time. So that's called the Hope Lodge in Cincinnati. What else can you do as cancer survivors and cancer haters? You can get involved with an event called Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. They're all over. There's one in Dayton, there's one in Columbus, and it's a 5K walk in October during Breast Cancer Month. And we raise money that's specifically earmarked for breast cancer. One of my great passions is the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and I spoke about it briefly. And what we do is find folks like all of you who are willing to give me $10 and become a member of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. What we do is talk to our elected officials so that when there's a piece of legislation that will help cancer patients and caregivers, that there's an army out there that can make a phone call or cut and paste an email and send it to them. Let me tell you a little story. I have been fighting with the Cancer Action Network for a piece of legislation for the last 3 years. It's called oral chemo parity. It seems like such a no-brainer to me. I just don't know why this didn't fly right through. Maybe you folks will know. But what it says is that infused chemotherapy, like I had, and I'm sure some of you had as well, is covered under your major medical, right? Everybody understand that? Well, some of the newest, brightest, best chemotherapies that are starting now are called oral chemotherapy. They're in a pill form. Well, those kinds of chemotherapies are covered under your prescription drug policy. So not is it a $25 copay for your infused stuff. It's a copay that can be $2,000 or $3,000. So the best chemotherapies that are coming from our brightest researchers that are less invasive on the body and are treating the cancer patient more effectively are too expensive. So we started this piece of legislation thinking it was going to fly through. It's taken us 3 years. You know who we were fighting? Insurance companies. We were fighting insurance companies to get this piece of legislation to help you. So what I'm saying to you is that if you have a little time on your hands, if you would like to be a part of that Cancer Action Network, I called Mr. Widener, who is my senator, and all I had to do was say, Mr. Widener, this is Julie Turner from Springfield, Ohio. I'm a cancer survivor. I know that you're voting on Senate Bill 99 next week. I hope you will vote yes. Clock. That's all it took. And if you're a senator and you receive one of those calls, okay, so maybe it's a little important. But if you receive hundreds of calls from your constituents, you're going to take notice, don't you think? Absolutely. So something else that you can do to get involved. I challenge you to find something that you can do to help ACS, because if not for ACS and the research dollars, there are folks in this room like myself that would not be here. Cancer doesn't care whether you're 17 or 77. It doesn't care about the color of your skin. It doesn't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't care if you have the ability to pay for life-saving treatment. We all know, and Heather said this before, one of 3 women and 1 of 2 men are going to hear the words, "You have cancer in your lifetime." So I ask you to help us fight in whatever way you can. If it's simply being involved with relay and coming and walking the survivor lap, fabulous. If you'd like to be on the committee and help the relay get bigger and stronger, even better. If you want to join the Cancer Action Network or become a Road to Recovery volunteer, find someone to make that happen. There is a staffer from ACS. Her name is Courtney Ross. She's got a blue shirt on. She's a lovely young lady that would be more than delighted to hear that, because you heard something from me, that you're going to get involved. Please get involved. And I'm going to leave you with some parting thoughts. Cancer stole from me my carefree senior year in high school, but it left me with the maturity that I know to live each day to the fullest. Cancer stole from me my ability to bear children, but it gave me a precious adopted daughter, Jody, who is now 32 years old. Cancer stole from me my beloved mother, but it left me with priceless memories of a mother's love that taught me to be instinctual, unconditional, and unending. My name is Julie Turner. I'm thrilled to be with you today. I dream big, I hope big, I relay big. Thank you so much.